The oil companies are going to go in, they're going to spend money, we're going to take back the oil that...
Oil has always followed power, and power has just followed oil, straight into Caracas. On January 3rd, the United States captured Venezuela's president, Nicolás Maduro. Within hours, US President Donald Trump made the real announcement. Not about democracy, not about elections, but about oil. Trump said Washington would take control of Venezuela's oil sector, that American oil giants would pour billions of dollars, that Venezuela's broken oil infrastructure would be fixed, and that US companies would start making money fast. What Trump did not say is just as important. Venezuela's oil industry is not broken overnight. It is crippled by years of sanctions, economic collapse, and neglect. Fixing it will take years, not months. And so far, American oil companies have said nothing about committing to the scale of investment. Here's the hard reality. Venezuela holds the largest oil reserves on earth, over 300 billion barrels, more than Saudi Arabia, nearly one-fifth of the world's proven reserves. Yet today, Venezuela produces barely 1 million barrels a day. Global production is over 100 million barrels a day. That's not a typo. A country drowning in oil is producing almost nothing. US sanctions, a shattered economy, and oil infrastructure that has been allowed to rot. This is exactly why markets are not panicking. Despite Maduro's capture, despite US tankers seizing Venezuelan oil, global oil prices have barely moved. The market is already well supplied. Demand is soft, and Venezuela's output is too small to shock prices for now. But the long game is different.
But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money. The oil companies are going to go in, they're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries.
If the US succeeds in controlling Venezuela's oil industry, more Venezuelan crude will hit global markets. That means more supply, and over time, downward pressure on oil prices. Not tomorrow, not next month, but in the years ahead, if billions are invested and infrastructure is rebuilt. Trump himself admitted it. This is not regime change for ideals. This is regime change for energy dominance. So where does India stand? In the short term, largely untouched. Indian refiners do not import Venezuelan crude right now, and with oil prices unlikely to spike, India is shielded from immediate pain. That matters. Because India is the world's third largest oil consumer, and it imports over 88% of its crude. But there is a potential upside if Washington eases sanctions. If Venezuela's oil sector is opened up again, India could re-enter the game. Before US sanctions in 2019, Venezuela was India's fifth largest oil supplier. Indian refiners imported nearly 16 million tons of Venezuelan crude in a single year. Reliance Industries was a major buyer. ONGC Videsh invested heavily on the ground. Today, over $500 million in ONGC dividends are stuck in Venezuela, frozen by sanctions. New Delhi is watching closely. A sanctions-free Venezuela could mean cheaper oil, recovered investments, and renewed Indian presence in Latin America's energy sector. But there's a catch. Any foreign company operating in Venezuela needs US approval, access to dollars, access to banks, access to markets. This is the so-called Chevron model, where Washington controls who pumps, who sells, and who gets paid. Even if Venezuela has the oil, The United States controls the tap. Maduro's capture is not the end of the story. It is the opening chapter of a much bigger energy battle. A battle over reserves, over sanctions, over who controls the future flow of oil. In geopolitics, oil doesn't just fuel economies, it decides power, and right now, Venezuela's oil has become America's newest lever. With Rajashish Kanjalal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.